Yeah, so that I know. So one of the greatest things about being part of our network that I really enjoy is that you've got a I don't know, brother. You've you've found yourself in a place or worked your way to a place in the industry, and now that you're running this network that we're a part of is just so great because we can tap into a lot of the experience that you have and the things you've learned, being able to grow, a team from next to nothing to many, many millions a month, one of those things being is, teaching us, how to delegate properly, right? How to be
Mhm,
able
mhm.
to bring on a team member or two or three or five, whatever the case may be, but to do it in an effective way so
Yeah.
that it's actually working, right? That you can actually get more business. Because I got to tell you, I've been doing this for 37 years, Steve, and I've seen many times I've hired people, former loan officers that work for me. I need an assistant. Okay, let's get the assistant. Production doesn't go up at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't go up at all. No, in fact, the loan officer now is just basically answering a bunch of questions for this assistant, and they're both working on the same exact amount of business, not more. It's not good delegation. It's not effective. It didn't work, right? And so being able to have a blueprint, to work from to make sure that we are delegating in a proper way, whether, bro, loan officers could have one, the very first assistant, right? The very first one. If that doesn't get set up properly from the very beginning in the proper way, it's going to
Yeah.
be a failure, right?
Yeah.
I 100% guarantee you've just brought on more debt and you're not going to get any lift from it whatsoever. But I love the fact that you have a blueprint laid out and a
Yeah.
way to ensure that when we bring people on to help us out and we can delegate and make our teams shore up properly so that we're actually getting the lift,
Yeah.
right? They're actually getting a lift. I was hoping on this podcast, just real briefly, we can't go over all of it. You do classes on this that are lengthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you give us in the next 5-10 minutes just a couple little snippets that those who are watching the podcast or listening might be able to glean from it? The
Yeah.
stuff that you teach us in the network. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hey, and listen, Frank, I love that you just said that. One thing when you were just talking the whole time, because you said what ends up happening is they get an assistant, they end up being less productive and now less profitable.
Right.
You know what I think you have to start with first, and this is something we kind of bypass is mindset and vision.
Hmm.
So look, I learned something a long time ago. Really, in developing the network, it was the greatest tool we had. We started from absolutely zero, no production. There were six people that were, they were in like help and support, not producers. And matter of fact, I lost two of them in the first 45 days. So it was me and four people. We started with zero. And you know what I always said? I kept telling the team, listen to this, Frank, resources follow vision. Resources follow vision.
Hmm.
And one of the biggest things we've got to remember, look, before you get into the path of delegating, growing your team, what keeps me from staying stagnant? You got to have a vision for where you're going. If you're at 6 loans a month and you have a vision to get to 12, or you're at 12, you got a vision to get to 35. Hey, listen, I was on the phone with a guy this week, 38 loans this month, and he has a
Hmm.
vision to break 50 a month.
Hmm.
And it's like when you have that vision, your vision will pull you, and the right vision with action will help you draw in the right resources. So I think partly you just got to have a vision for, like, if I were to say this and just say whatever month you're in, 3 months out, and I started saying within the next 90 days, I will be, like, for instance, if I'm at 6 transactions a month, hey, in the next 90 days, I'm going to be closing 12 transactions a month. And now my brain has a problem to solve, which is okay, we're going to be at 12 loans a month in the next 90 days. What needs to happen differently? Here's a great question to ask yourself. What would I need to do differently to close 12 transactions a month?
Hmm.
Or if you're at 12 transactions and it's like, man, in the next 90 days, I'll be at 20 transactions a month. Listen, it's easier than you think. But what you've got to do is first off, you get a clear vision. I'll be closing 20 transactions a month. And then I've got to just stop out of the busyness and start saying, okay, I'm closing 20 loans a month. What do I need to do differently? Or what will I be doing differently when I'm closing 20 loans a month? Great question. Look, Frank, you won't be chasing conditions. You're not going to be working on a file contract to close. You're not going to be setting up a pre-approval and chasing the borrower on the
Right.
front end like a pre-approval specialist. Because see, you know what the challenge to people's growth is? And it was mine for years. I used to tell myself, I'm going to double. And then secretly, you know what I would think? Holy cow, I can't work that many hours. You've experienced that.
Totally.
Like, it's like, you know what more meant? More meant more hours. I
Right.
talked to somebody last week. She said, why? She's doing like $60 million a year. She said, I don't even barely have time right now. Why would I want to get to 100 million?
Yeah.
Like, because she's like, my head's literally spinning.
Right.
Like, all roads lead to me. I've got all the emails I'm checking. I mean, I'm having to respond to all the texts. I got 3 team members. They're all coming to me to find solutions. I've got a
Right.
back end team. She's like, why would I want to get to 100 million? I can't even hardly breathe right now. And I got kids and a husband. And I thought, oh, awesome. You know what we're going to do? We're going to work through this, because what if more didn't mean more time?
Right.
And that sparked a major, she's like, what do you mean? What if we could do more and you could actually get back your time? And that's where you have to start doing this. So let me ask you this, or here's a great exercise to do. Um, what's the number one time suck, or what's the thing that keeps coming to you that you would say, hey, I could get to 20 loans a month, but I'm spending most of my time doing this? Start
Yeah.
listing it out.
Yeah.
Because what you'll find, like when we did that with this person earlier this week, Frank, you know what it was? Hey, I'm the one still answering emails. And I said, well, you got a team of 3, don't you? She said, yeah. I said, well, who could answer the emails? Well, I don't know if they could do it as good as me. Well, we don't know unless we find out.
Right.
And if they could do it 80% as good as you, wouldn't that, how many hours a week would you free up?
Yeah.
3, 4?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What else is coming to you? You know what she said? All the texts are coming to me, which is awesome. You know, and that makes a lot of sense at
Mm.
60, 50, 60, $70 million for the producers who are in that range. Why? Because it was your cell phone that was driving all the
Yeah.
traffic.
Right.
So then here's the question: who on your team can find a texting platform that we could port that number to, that it's online and your whole team could respond to the text?
Right.
One other thing, how much time would that save you? Man, at
Hours.
least 3 or 4 hours a week. So that right there just saved us 9 hours a week.
Mm.
And then you would ask this, hey, so, and I know you got a team of 3, they're great, but how much are you being pulled into anything that's contract to close? So
Right.
the other thing you got to do too, Frank, is people don't silo their business. And if you don't silo your business and it's just one continuous flow, the problem is there's never a backstop. It's like, hey, what do you do? Everything from start to finish. Well, that's not effective. So what we do is, what we have found to be really effective, was from contract to close. Once a contract comes in and it's locked and you hit the disclose button, the back end team starts pulling that file back. And we call that contract to close because it creates a differentiation.
Yeah.
And so I just asked her, I said, from contract to close, how much time are you being pulled into questions, restructuring, agents? Dude, it was like, I want to
A
say
lot.
8 or 9 hours. And we're talking about a crazy good producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, well, what do we need to do to make sure that when that file's handed off, and we're going to work on the front end. I believe in having a pre-approval specialist and a mortgage expert, and we've got great structure. Matter of fact, Frank, in the network, we've created a ascension plan, and we call it our legacy ladder. And so at each level of production, we're actually identifying and helping our team members and loan officers put help in place so that they keep focusing on what brought in the last deal. And so, like, what we do is, number one, you got to solve the contract to close. That's the day one right now, whether you're closing one loan a month. I was talking to somebody literally this week. My buddy Al, he's closing 38 loans this month. And I said, how much time are you spending on the back end, bro? It was more than 10 hours.
Mm.
Closing 38 loans this month, a monster month.
Mm.
He's averaging right now for the year 18, and this month was he's in my boot camp.
Massive.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's in my, yeah, it was in my
Mm-hmm.
8-week boot camp, killing it. And so my whole deal with him was, hey, we got to go in and we've got to really look at, first off, let's tighten up this back end. Because see, if I were to ask, and Frank, you knew this because when we joined forces in the network, we've all experienced it. It's like everybody's spending, it's a rare day somebody's not spending 5 to 10 hours a week on anything contract to close.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, before I put something on my plate, here's our rule. You and I are just, we keep saying it all the time, all the time, all the time. We coach them all the time. You can't add something on your plate till you take something off.
Mm.
See, we're not going to live in this busy, chaotic, head spinning. The industry has a vision for your life and it's busy. It's where your family resents you because your work gets the best of you. It gets all of you. The industry wants you to believe that more closings means more time. And listen, we've just found a better way. And so what we've got to do is, what are the things I'm doing right now? And how do I get those off my plate? The number one question you can ask is, who can do this?
Mm.
Who can do this? Like with my friend I was talking to just a couple of days ago, it was like, who can do this? Well, I got a team of 3. Awesome. Who can do this? Well, I think this person could do it. Okay. What would it take to empower them that effective tomorrow morning, they're now checking emails?
Mm.
I don't know. I never thought of it. Well, let's do it. What's
Mm.
the worst that could happen? They send a bad email.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
And here's and just not to derail you or anything
yeah,
like this, but the other thing that we have to be thoughtful of in this scenario, we're gonna is that process, Steve, of okay, you're gonna take over emails now, but we don't
yeah.
want that to be, hey Frank, I got an email that says this. What should I say? Hey Frank, I got an email that
There
says
you
this.
go.
What should I say? Hey Frank, I got an email that says this. What should I say? Then that's not helping me at all. That's
Right.
giving me no
Yeah.
lift
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
So how do we?
Morning
What's your
huddles.
advice with
Hey,
that?
so here's what my encouragement. Look, now we'll tell you this. The first week you delegate it, you might need to give a lot more guidance, but here's the way I
Yeah.
would give guidance. I would do it in such a way that I'm doing a morning huddle and I would go through, I'd actually probably extend it. I usually do 15, 30-minute huddles. I don't think they need to be long. But in this scenario, what I would do, Frank, is I might even extend it 45 minutes and I would go through the emails with them and say, and I wouldn't do them. I just talk them out. Hey, this email came from Mr. Smith. What would you do?
Yeah, I like
Okay,
that.
I like that, but here's how I would tweak that. Okay, make note of it. You're going to send that out later. Give me the next email. Here's a oh yeah, yeah, I like that. That's a great response. Hey, give me your next email. You know what? Here's what I would add to it, and here's why I would add to it. Okay, you take care of that. I wouldn't write them right there. I just verbally give it to them,
Mm.
and I might even be driving to a meeting. And look, I did that yesterday with Jennifer. She's my uh, she helps me, my assistant. And so we were just going through responses. I had some drive time to a meeting and I said, all right, give me all of the responses you need. Okay, here's what I would do. Here's what I do. Here's what I do. Here's what I do. Go execute.
Mm.
So like but I would do it primarily in a morning huddle.
Mm.
And then you know what else I'd do? At the end of the afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'd do a 15-minute recap.
Mm.
And then here's what I would tell the team. The first week, we're going to bounce through this, but next week, there's no interruptions in the middle of the day. So I truly trust you. I empower you. You can't blow a deal up. The problem is there's such a fear of failure, Frank, that your team members are terrified that they're going to mess it up. And the greatest thing I've ever told them is this. I started saying this about 3 years ago. Hey, because I started with Danelle. Me and Danelle started, we were the first to start building this network. You remember, yeah, Danelle, the
Yes.
operations, she's done a
Oh
lot
yeah.
with us. But there was a lot of nervousness, Frank. And you know what I tell her? Hey, Danelle, there's nothing you can do that I can't fix.
Mm.
There's no mistake, no challenge. Listen, if we do it, we're just going to do it loving people.
Mm.
And as long as you're gracious to people and as long as you're kind in what you're saying, we can't make a mistake that we can't fix. And if we can't fix it, oh well. It
Mm.
was something that was unfixable. All right, we're
Mm.
going to move on to the next.
Mm.
And the more you empower them, because see, the old Steve 10 years ago, you know what I do, Frank?
Mm.
What are you doing? I can't believe you sent it that way. The
Oh my
agent's now
gosh. Yeah.
upset. You know what? If anything's going to be done, it's got to be done by me, and I've got to do it right. And what I learned was that was a tough place to be, and
Hmm.
it was very limiting. And what I
You
began to
can't do
learn
anything
was,
really. Yeah.
yeah,
You're
there's
paralyzing yourself completely. Yeah.
yeah, and here's the question you got to ask. Like when I was talking to this person this week, and I don't want to say the name because they listen to the podcast all the time, so I want to be like, oh no. But hey, Frank, here's where what I would what we're talking about is this is when when I empower somebody, like let's just say emails, or let's say my back end contract to close, and I just say, hey guys, listen, I want you to we're gonna commit to doing a couple of things. I'd like for you to consider submitting loans in 72 hours. I'd like for you to get 5 or less buyer conditions, which means that's how clean the files are
Mhm.
when they're submitted. I'd like for you to get 95% of our loans clear to close 3 days prior to, and I'd like to have docs out 48 hours ahead of time. Hey, listen, what would it take for us to both come to an agreement? Because listen, and I know this is running longer, but let me this is really important. You can't hold people accountable to something they don't agree to.
Mm.
So that's why the vision's so important.
Right.
Hey, listen, I got a vision of no chaos. I got a vision of smooth and flawless closings. I got a vision of raving fans.
Hmm.
I've got a vision of agents saying, you make these transactions so smooth, I wouldn't dream of going somewhere else.
Mm.
So listen, my contract to close, loan partner, processor, whatever you call yours, I would just say, hey, look, and ours is our Andy runs our ops. So me, it's like, hey, Andy, this is what I have a vision for. And if we do this, we're going to free up loan officers' time, our team inside the network, our branch managers' time. Most people in the industry are spending 5 to 20 hours a week. So if we can commit to doing this, they'll go get more deals and we all win. And so it's like, hey, can we commit to that? Yeah, we can, man. That's great. That's
Mm.
how I did it in the very beginning. Hey, and listen, what can we do so that you're holding your team accountable to make sure that we keep loan officers out? Oh man, we can do this and this and this and this, because now I've got his buy-in to a vision
Mm.
that really gives his team job security and helps the loan officers go get more and causes a culture of they love it.
Mm.
But see, I can't go in and say, you're going to do this and bark down orders, which is what most people do. I got to cast a vision that draws resources and captures their heart and
Mm.
what's in it for them. And then now, you know what I do? I just say, hey, Andy, every Friday, I want you to send me a report by Friday and tell me how the team did.
Mm.
Did we hit the goals?
Mm.
Awesome. And I'm not even chasing him to go get it. He's sending it to me
Mm.
weekly. And now I've really, what did I do? I lifted 10 hours off of me, 10 hours off of Sarah, 10 hours off of Nate, 10 hours off. Like, how can you go get more? Because you've got now a bought in team that I've delegated, empowered, that's sending the updated reports, letting us know we're hitting the metrics we all agreed to. That's true empowerment. And so, like, even to bring it back to a very practical, and I think you got to start with the back end number one, and then you look at, okay, from lead to handoff to back end, what are the things I'm doing that I can empower someone else to do?
Hmm.
Well, I'm only doing 4, so it's just me. Awesome. Well, let's hurry up and get to 6
Yeah.
so you can get some more help. Or
Hmm.
could you hire somebody part time? Could you have a VA help? Like, it's not, you're not stuck. It's figure out what moves the needle and what are the other things you're doing. And whether it's hiring somebody part time, whether it's sharing a resource, whether it's hiring a VA, who can do this and who could you empower? And so hopefully these are some things that'll
They're
help you,
they're
man.
they're good things, man. And I think for anybody listening or watching, I hope you picked up some stuff there that you can
Yeah.
roll out into your situation. It's really
Yeah.
important things, man. We can't
Yeah.
grow unless we have the help, and the help has to be put in
Yeah.
place in a proper way,
That's
obviously,
right. That's right.
so that you actually can get freed up to do other things. And so hopefully you can roll that out into your current situation. Hey, just remind everybody too that Steve and I, we run a national network, right, of originators. And if you're interested in learning more about our network, just reach out to me. Just go to frankcall.com. Frankcall.com. I can fill you in on the network and how that all works. But hopefully this was helpful for you. Steve, thanks for being here, man, and sharing your wisdom with us as always, and appreciate it. So with that, we'll get out of here. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about the network, just go to frankcall.com. Spend 15 minutes with you. All right. You guys have a great one. See you later. Adios.
See you.